Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coachable Moments. I am your host, Pat GPT. Today's episode is titled, Damn Gina, Are You Happy Now? And for all of you old heads that remember the TV show Martin, there was this one episode where Gina had been pressing Martin to marry her. And like many of us, that resist the thought of giving up the bachelor life and fully committing to the love of your life. um, Martin was going through this particular challenge, and this was one of the phrases that came from the episode that really stuck with me, and I want to dive into it a little bit today and share my insights to this phrase. So if you guys remember the TV show, most of you remember Martin as the character that worked at the radio station for a guy named Stan. Stan was a shyster, a hustler that ran a local radio station. Well, like many of you, we saw that Martin was a DJ at the radio station, but in reality, Martin really worked in IT. And what I mean by that, the I stands for if, and the T stands for then. And this is a very popular principle that is so prevalent in our culture today. The if then principle simply means that if I receive a certain condition, then as a result of receiving that condition, then I can be happy. Uh, you know, this is often how we're structuring our expectations, not only in life but in relationships in the present day. How many times have we heard, if I can just get that promotion, then I'll be happy, or if I can pay off all of my bills, then I'll be happy, or if she would just stop nagging so much, then we can be happy. This is the true definition of conditional love, because the whole concept or philosophy um, basically means um, that we link the outcomes of how we feel to a particular event or a thing happening that's going to create the happiness for us. And if you really sit and think about that, that's a ludicrous concept to have, but it's the overwhelming concept in society nowadays. If I can find a man that's a ball player or a scammer or a surgeon that can give me the lifestyle that I want, then I'll be happy. And if you really break it down, what's going on is that you're tying your internal happiness to an external thing. And that'll never work, because happiness has to come from inside. It can't come from an external place and then reside on the inside of you. It just doesn't make sense. So, basically, um, happiness is tied to the fulfillment of an external condition being met. That's the if part. Uh, so in our society nowadays, the idea of success, material wealth, or validation from others, examples of that would be if I get a lot of likes on this picture of myself that I post, or if I get a lot of followers on my page, then I'll feel accepted, or I'll feel validated, or I'll feel important enough to continue. But that can't be the reason for you to continue to push through in life, because there's no guarantee that you'll always have the support or the likes from others that will continue to push you forward. That's a very conditional mindset to have, a very fragile place to be if you think about it, because your happiness at that point is literally skating on thin ice, and it's literally conditional as to whether you get certain results from external forces. So when you think about how the if then principle, how easy it is, and how we've seen it even as far back as some of the TV shows that we watched back in the late 90s, all the way up to today, where everything is conditional. Uh, we are literally in a fragile place. And in my opinion, the only way for a person to have true happiness is that you have to locate it, identify it, cultivate it from within. There is no way. That's a very flawed mindset to have when you thinking that external happiness is going to continue to keep you happy. That's that's just it makes no sense when you think about it. So I had to personally sit with this idea for a while myself because I tell people all the time that you can have anything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. That's an old Zig Ziglar timeless classic statement. And there's another statement or another phrase that's a biblical correlation of those same words, and pretty much says that you should be content regardless of the situation that you find yourself in. Uh, Ultimately, true happiness can only arise from an inner state of contentment. You've got to be satisfied enough. Uh, True happiness can only come from self acceptance. You have to accept yourself and you have to have peace. And those are some of the principles that are missing in today's time. For one, the self acceptance piece, if you really dissect that whole thought process, how many of you are happy with yourself? How many of you can accept yourself in your current state? I hear people all the time, if I can just lose 20 pounds, then I feel good about myself. Or it'll be like, girl, wait till I get back from the DR and I get this BBL, and then I'm gonna kill them at the club when I throw my dress on. But these are all conditional things that we will not accept ourselves until we check off a certain box. And then and only then will we feel validated within ourselves. And so that whole scripture that we should be content regardless of the situation that you find yourself in, it goes out of the window. We're not applying those golden nuggets. We're applying new philosophy based on social interactions, things that are coming from the internet. We're adopting this groupthink mentality to where I've got to have a certain thing to happen in order for me to be okay with myself. And it's not just the physical appearances. It's like, I'll be happy once I pay off all these bills, or when I get the car of my dreams, then I feel good about myself. It never usually works that way, though, until you learn to be grateful for every single thing that you have right now. You know, some of us only have a bag of rice and a pack of gravy, you know, in the pantry. You know, some of you may only have a tank of gas or half a tank of gas, or you may not have any gas at all. Your gas light may be on. Um, but I always look at the fact that at least I have the car. I can get the gas part figured out. But we'll look at the fact that we don't have certain things or certain features or certain details, and then we overlook the thing that we already have in our possession, and we'll discard and just throw away the idea of being grateful because we're thinking about and focused on, literally, we're focused on all of the things that we don't have. And so I decided for me, I was going to wake up with an attitude of gratefulness every single day, regardless of how dark the situation looked. I knew that the only way to really be happy is to accept myself in the current state that I'm in. And I have to, and once I accept myself, that acceptance is a big deal because there's a lot that comes with it. You know, so many of us carry guilt, and I'm stepping on my own toes right now because for so long I carried guilt about my past and some of the things that I had done in this life. Um, and the weight of that guilt is what prevented me from seeing how much I had to be grateful for, despite all of the things that I saw as being wrong with me. And many of you are in that same condition right now. You know, some of y'all were fine before you became overweight. Whatever the situation was that made you overeat, it may have been stress or losing somebody that you cared about, or it could have been a negative comment that you heard about yourself and it put you in a state of depression. And the only thing that made you feel good was eating. And over time, that got you to where you are right now. But I want to challenge you to know that you didn't get that way overnight, and you may not be able to get out of it overnight. But the only way that I can see things getting better is that you adopt an attitude of gratefulness. Because even though you may be a little overweight, guess what? You were able to get up. You know, God bless you to wake up today. You were able to stand up on your own 2 feet, and you were able to put your own clothes on, go to work, come home, so on and so forth. There were so many things that you were able to do, even though you may not have been happy with your physical appearance. That can change. You can fix that. But if you take away the option or the ability to do any of those others, it's game over. So I suggest, instead of looking at the one or two things that you don't like about yourself, look at all the other blessings that you have and adopt that attitude of gratitude and live in it. Don't just think about it one time during the day. Whenever you feel that heaviness of the world coming back, step aside, put yourself on a timeout, and you name 5 or 10 things that you have in your life that you can be grateful for. And I guarantee that you'll feel the shift of energy within yourself to where you don't dwell on that one negative aspect of your life, but instead those 5 or 10 positive things that you identify and you name, you call them out, it's going to create a change inside of you to where that one negative thing is not as big of a deal as you've allowed it to be. And it can throw your entire day off just by you dwelling on that one negative attribute. So you have to always live in the grateful side of things. And then, and only then, will you be able to see the fruit of this life, the beauty that comes with being alive. Because there's so many people that don't have that gift today. So, as I get ready to close this episode, I just want to ask you, like, damn, Gina, are you happy now? What's it going to take to make you shake off all of that negativity and live in a happy state of being? You may not have all of the name brands that you want. You may not have the Chanel bag or the Hermes bag or the Louis Vuitton or whatever it is that you desire to have. But your life is a blessing because you have an opportunity to let your light shine so that somebody else can see God's goodness. So with that in mind, I just want to encourage you guys to look at the positive parts of life. Look at those things that you have to be grateful for. If you have family out there, take a look at them before you go to bed. You see that they're able to sleep in a warm house or a cool house, being that it's summer, and they have a roof over their heads. They have a safe place to close their eyes. There's food in the refrigerator. You've got a lot of things to be thankful for. And I know that there are people that have the more disease. You know, I call that, when you get blessed with two things, instead of taking the time to appreciate those two things, you look past it because you want more. And it's always more and more and more. It's the more disease. I would challenge you to be content. Take an inventory of what you have. Be thankful for that. And thank God for everything that He's going to do for you moving forward. So with that, be blessed. And until we meet again, I'm your host, Pat GPT, signing off.